Censorship has always been a controversial issue, and when situated within the context of global events, it becomes yet more complex. Jacob Hauster, in his article, 40% of millennials support censoring statements offensive to minorities, talks about how censorship is becoming a bigger issue because of global events such as the Paris terrorist attacks and the refugee crisis. Along with this, Francine Prose, in her article, When Librarians Are Silenced, brings up the topic of censorship of information. Fusing these two articles together, I get a common theme of censorship of information as it relates to global events. When researching this, I found a hotly contested debate at the moment that is rising in prominence. This is the debate between censorship of information deemed to potentially cause biological weapons. What this debate is all about is the government wants to censor some material that they deem could potentially lead terrorists to developing biological weapons. Because of the immense destruction they could cause, and because I myself am an American citizen, this has tremendous relevance for the 21st century. This ultimately led me to my question, to what extent does the censorship of science impact scientific advancement and bioterrorism, and what are the effects of each? Now, the effects of censorship. Censorship inhibits scientific advancement. According to Wendy Barclay, a virologist and a chair of virology at Imperial College, she believes that the effects of censorship limit the ability of the scientists to control diseases. For example, in the case she was referencing, in 2011, the government censored a publication on avian flu, as they believed a terrorist organization could use the information to develop a biological weapon. What Wendy is arguing is that this limits scientific collaboration, and it actually limits our ability to control the disease. In fact, what she's saying is that this exactly counteracts the intended effects that the government is trying to have. It makes it actually harder to control the disease if there was a terrorist attack. Because of this, this situation can be applied to many other diseases as well. And what this shows you is that it is not a good thing to censor this material. Some, in fact, would argue that you do want to censor the material so that it does not go into terrorist hands. However, as I will extensively discuss, this is not the case. Effects of censorship in preventing bioterrorism. Now, censorship is not necessary to prevent bioterrorism. In fact, because ISIS, the most prominent probable cause of biological terrorism, does not have a large enough budget. According to the Washington Post, they have an annual budget of about $40 million. And according to the Federal Association of Scientists, to develop a relatively rudimentary biological weapon, anthrax, the U.S. government spent over $300 million. So as you can see, it is not financially feasible for them to do so. According to Ronald Bailey, environmental author and fellow at the Environmental Institute, he says that even if ISIS had the funding, there was no way they would be able to get the top-notch scientific acumen of scientists to be able to develop the disease. Because of this, because a terrorist organization would not be able to develop a biological weapon, it's not necessary to censor them. No. However, if the case did occur where there was a biological weapon that a terrorist organization was able to develop, what would be the effects on society? Now, the effects would actually be able to be readily mitigated, as the U.S. has a large defense fund allocated to preventing bioterrorism. The U.S. Army Division of Infectious Diseases has also, they have a large storage of vaccines for potential culprits of diseases such as Q fever, anthrax, and many more. And there are multiple infrastructure things that the government has made so that we can more readily combat the biological weapons. David Price, a congressman, recently described one when he said, "The NCB Prepared," which is a new computer located infrastructure plan, which allows scientists to more readily collaborate to analyze patient records so that they can more easily locate the source and where the disease is going. For the solutions, we could simply prevent all censorship, so nothing can be censored. However, according to Donald Cook, Nuclear Security Administration Deputy Advisor, he says that this could lead to unwanted countries getting nuclear weapons. This is why preventing all censorship is not feasible. A recommendation is to create a government panel which is made up of government scientists from all fields who are allowed to censor information. This, according to Ronald Bailey, and as previously referenced, would help ensure that there is a peer-reviewed, like a scientific journal, of things that can be published, leading to this would lead so that things that should be published are published and things that are not should be not. Thank you.